Director and Curator of the Appalachian Center here at Berea College, and we welcome you all. I was excited when David had this idea to have you all come to Berea and encounter our collection here as a part of your visit to Berea, so really happy to do this for you all. I'm really glad to welcome you to our center too. So our center that you've been in here, we have exhibitions and resources related to Appalachian studies. So any of you who are more broadly interested maybe in Appalachia might want to stop back by. We're open generally just weekdays, so we'll be open the rest of the day today till 5 o'clock or so. So if anybody wanted to come back by and encounter the exhibits some more, you're welcome to do that. My job is to manage a collection for education. So I will kind of point things out, but when groups like you come, you're all more expert, most of you, in different parts of it than I am, so that's okay. So I may not, if you have questions, there's a good chance we can't answer it. We'll tell you what we know, and you can tell us what you know too, and we'll try to capture that and update our materials. We're moving to a new collections database, so it'll make it easier for us to capture and keep information like that too than what we've had before. So as I said, we have about 30 dulcimers. Mine are scattered here, and then as I transition to them, they're going to be in the tables around the room, and Professor Mills' instruments here. And when we transition, I'll introduce him and let you know his focus has been different than mine, although he's used our collection as a reference for him in his work.
Go ahead and start. My name is Alan Mills. Since I am retired, I'm no longer a professor here. I just retired.
Emeritus.
Congratulations. Yes, emeritus.
That sounds fantastic.
As I was moving, I came across some of these things. All my patterns, this is a replica of an Ed Thomas, and all the patterns that we used to build this one, I had kept in a Tupperware box, and I totally forgot about it until I was moving. I said, oh yeah, I need to take that, and I'll show you some of the jigs and fixtures that we did to build that. But yeah, I may not be up on dates and so forth as I used to be back in 2011 and 12, and then since there's history people here, I'll probably use circa or just about or around this period of time because I can't nail it like I used to. But we're going to kind of work through the history of mostly the Kentucky dulcimer, and then what makes a dulcimer, how can you tell if it was made in Kentucky, or what are some of the prominent features and so forth, and then talk a little bit about trying to build replicas of these instruments. So I'm going to pick up, let's see, what a good one to start with. Let's just start with Ed Thomas as far as what characteristics do you find in a dulcimer in Appalachia, and especially in Kentucky. And some people like Jean Ritchie, she said this is the heart of where dulcimers were built in Kentucky. Yeah, it was. And actually, they were being built everywhere, but Kentucky does have a good reputation with the dulcimer. So let's go through the characteristics that would be prominent for Kentucky dulcimers. Okay? So we can use the Ed Thomas for that. Number one, most dulcimers have this beautiful hourglass shape. There's all kinds of shapes of dulcimers. We've seen some square, rectangular ones, not square, but rectangular. I call them like canoes or boats. Those were popular. Anybody from Virginia? Virginia? Yeah, the gay lines. But Virginia, isn't that the prominent style? More just like a boat without the waist. That's what I've noticed. But in
Or teardrop.
Elliptical or teardrop, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, teardrop. But in Kentucky, it'll be the hourglass. And I think just from talking to people and so forth, and also I teach photography, and we learn about design and shapes and so forth. This S-curve that forms the hourglass is a very pleasing shape to the human eye. If you're taking a photograph and you've got a winding road that takes on this S shape, you try to capture that in your photograph. And that's probably why this is one of the most popular shapes. And again, that's where in Kentucky it started with this particular style. Okay. The other thing that you'll see on most Kentucky dulcimers that you won't see everywhere is this lip. A little bit of a lip all the way around the edge. The overhang. It makes it harder to build. It's very easy to take one that doesn't have the lift and sand. When you're totally done building it, you can sand all this smooth with a sander. This does make it difficult to get all the glue out and to sand things and to assemble it, but that's part of the look of a Kentucky dulcimer, and it's I think it's very important. It's really everything's very subtle. Nothing's like today when you buy a dulcimer, a lot of them are really, really fancy, highly inlaid, and I'm okay with that, but I personally like just the basic ones that are very nice looking, but very simple.
From Washington to Charlottesville and Stanton, the line came the old Midwestern Limited, train number 5 on time. She was the Cincinnati train, the fastest on the line. Through the valley of Virginia, fields of Clifton, Fort Valentine. It's a pretty easy
Nice,
song.
I know, nice.
It's a pretty easy tune, so you know.
That's a pretty tone, isn't it?
Yeah. I messed it up. Anyway.
We don't know. So, any direction you want to go. This is my wife Frankie here. She's the one who rooted me up so early this morning.
Thank you.
But we have a lot of chores. We did a lot of chores before we got here. But we've had our shop here going on 42 years.
Yay.
And I will have been making dulcimers 48 years this fall. And believe it or not, I was teaching way down in eastern Kentucky, Louisa, Lawrence County. That's Ricky Skaggs country, and there's a lot of other really famous music people down that way too. And but anyway, I had a chance to see a dulcimer exploded, or a dulcimer kit down in Gatlinburg, and I couldn't afford to buy it. But once I saw the parts and pieces, I just came home and started cutting out parts and pieces. Looked at Homer Ledford's 1881st dulcimer. So he was the other very traditional Kentucky dulcimer maker. So I've sort of taken that over. But anyway, the kids started bringing in dulcimers that were 100 years old. They'd bring them in on school, but yeah, we got a dulcimer laying around. Nobody knows how to play it or whatever. But everybody really does play music. It was, back in the early 70s, it was about the only recreation there was to play folk music, good traditional mountain music, or gospel music. I mean, everybody played and wanted to play. And $50 a piece. They had wire frets, wooden pegs, and anyway, that's what got me started. But since then, I've made a dulcimer every day for 48 years now. And just got a shy hole the last year or so. This is a pretty, well, I'll bring it over. It's pretty, you want to hold this on my shirt before I lay it down. Shy holes, this is probably a shop manufacturer. In other words, this is not the first shy hole that somebody made. I'm guessing it's American. It's probably poplar. I haven't played it, but it's so well made that you can tell it's just professionally made. Just the way it's machined out and everything. It was made in a shop where they made multiple ones. They didn't do one. Got real nice hand forged tuning pegs. You know, your regular wrench tuning pegs. And but the fact that it's so well made and so precisely engineered, everything is just perfectly square and pretty and planned out on it. So, but I did add the shy hole. Of course, I know this is the way the dulcimers came over to this country. I'd say this one's a couple hundred years old. Is the idea of just a wooden box with little frets on one side, same doll. It's a 4-string, which is sort of unusual, but I guess they had room for it. This one is totally unique. I call it my coffin dulcimer. You can see the where they made the saw cuts here to bend it like a coffin. That's the same way you make a coffin. Is you make saw cuts on the inside, you can see the color.
You know what kind of wood that is?
Poplar. Good old yellow poplar. So I have poplar, cherry, and walnut. That's my big three. This was totally unusual because it has adjustable frets. And notice that it only has 7 frets, so you really only had 8 notes. I mean, that was it. So, but adjustable wire frets, and even wire was so hard to come by. This is put together with wooden pegs. Now, I didn't know it for a long time. I thought they were just little tiny nails. But these are actually little bitty tiny hand-carved wooden pegs. It seems there is a big nail here, and a big nail here, and so it has like 6 nails in it.
So why are the holes?
The holes just to let the sound out. This is unusual. The tailpiece gives it sort of a banjo effect, which I may get tuned up here, but it hadn't been tuned for ages. But the tailpiece, they were getting pretty fancy with putting a violin type suspension on the tail. But this is a piece of Brazilian rosewood. Sort of unusual, but Brazilian rosewood came into New Orleans and up the rivers. It was the wood of choice for your fancy furniture and everything. So that may or may not have been the authentic bridge for it.
How old do you think that is?
Early 1800s, maybe Virginia. But the fact, now it could have had more strings. Looks from the notches, could have had 2 or 3 more pegs on it. But really, really well made considering how primitive it was. I mean, they had an idea of what they wanted to do. But the frets are sort of funny. So this is the only dulcimer you had in the, I don't know if I can get it to. So if this were the only dulcimer you had in the whole community, and it really wouldn't sound too bad. Okay, this dulcimer is so light, it's incredible. So somebody brought me the old Homer Ledford, very similar to this one. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I think this stuff's going to weight a few ounces. So somebody brought this one in, and I immediately knew that it's been played a lot. That Homer had modified it. It came from Homer Ledford's shop somewhere along the line. But anyway, he had put his scale on it. Notice this real short little fret, and whether he had taken the Testerman. So I was worried about where the Dulcimer came from, and then I found out it was on the cover of the Dulcimer book, the maker. And I obviously see it's definitely. So this is 1860s Testerman, Virginia, well-known maker. The fact that he made the Dulcimer so light, we're down to like 1/16 of an inch on the fretboard here. He has hollowed out the fretboard down to a 1/16 of an inch. And the fact that it's been played so much, but so this is quite look at the little dimension, the little scroll, the taper scroll with, but the design on it is just pretty amazing. But the fact that it's just paper light, I haven't played it, but I immediately knew that Homer had changed the frets on it. So, but anyway, it's still pretty valuable.
Anytime you're ready, just go ahead.
The bass one, yeah, it's a growl.
This is Jim Good. Do you know
I've
Jim?
heard the name, yeah.
This is a carving. He carved it. This is, it doesn't have a side, you see.
Right.
So it's two pieces put together, carved. It's sycamore, and it's real loud too. Like it's really great.
Really great. Maple is very bright.
It's sycamore.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Sycamore, yeah.
Well, it's a relative of me.
And it's tuned, it's tuned to A or B flat, I don't know. But, so, and then you need to see my dad's, you need to see the Corton Dulcimer.
These sort of look similar to these. They're not the big machine.
Isn't it funny?
I love the bucket.
I wanted to look more than I want anything else. That's important.
Wonderful. I should bring it. I'm bringing it.
This was just a student model one made with,
These two look like they'd be really nice.
Try.
Whose is this one here?
Now we have one of these made out of poplar, very same size. It's quite a bit lighter. No, this is poplar, so that's pretty good.
1890, that's right. 1890? Is this Kendra's too?
Yes. Yeah, she brought in a bunch of. And this is how. This is so far back. There were no songs. We think of a song.
And so that's how Mom just played the chords.
This clever arrangements.
And
Handful of work songs.
my mom developed Dulcimer's, and her last best day, Bob and I went up to see her at the nursing home, and we took the instrument to play.
So expensive.
And we sat there for a couple hours. Bob played guitar, and Mom and I played this. And then Mom got tired. She couldn't quite
They didn't really have the concept.
do the chords. So she said, "Get over here, Bob." She's her father. "Get over here, Bob. You play the chords, and I'm strum, so I love to strum." So all three of us were playing this instrument, and Bob was doing the chords, and Mom was strumming, and I was doing the melody. It was a wonderful. It is. It's wonderful. Yeah, I still almost cried.
Okay, get back in and get us elimination. My dear. Get back in there, Kim. Not you.
She said my girl.
That's what I use.
I want to look at your notary.
Oh, the notar's really
Of course
fancy.
it's
Really,
stable.
really fancy. It's a clothespin.
Oh, I wondered because I saw her doing a squeeze
I
on
stole
it.
somebody's.
Yeah, it's comfortable to be able to use that. Yes.
Is that metal then?
Yes.
Yeah, spring steel.
You know, I ordered recently.
And you know,
I can get back at it. This is the first song I ever learned to play called Uncloudy Day when I was
Oh, I played that today with you. That's why I loved it so.
Unclouded Day.
Uncloudy day.
Oh, good.
ah.
About what we know about modes and modal tuning, and that's something that's important to know, that a mode, and some of you have heard me say this already 12 times in the last couple of days, a mode is a scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and variations thereof, but it only really applies to one string. Dan's got that Praetorius replica over there, or whatever you want to call it. The Praetorius, there's a famous drawing that has a one-stringed instrument on it, and that's a monochord. And those, all the things that we know about modes evolved on that monochord because they had a space this far between the nut and the bridge. You push the string down in the middle and you get two equal pitches. You push it here and you get two different ones, and so forth. And And that's where things like the spacing that we have on the traditional dulcimer with the wide and narrow spacings, they were created to give us different sounds. And they came up with different combinations. Basically, one way to think of it is different variations on scales that have wide and narrow spacing. So an Ionian scale, all you have on your melody string, you have all of the modes on one string. You just don't know it. You don't know where they start, because each mode starts at a different place. So if you're open string, okay, sounds nice. That's the start point for what we now call Mixolydian mode. The start point for what we call Ionian mode is the 3rd fret. Aeolian is another one, and Dorian is yet another one. They all start at different places, and but that only refers to, if you had a 1-string dulcimer, you can still play all the modes.
And all this, where I started. This is when I had my light come on. I had studied the Greek modes, I had studied the church modes, I had bought every book I could find. One night I was studying, and this is what happens. You have a phenomenon. We have had that for 2,500 years. And they didn't know what it was, but they recognized it. And what it was is Ionian, we knew that, but it is a major natural scale, which means what? There's no sharps and no flats. However, so that's the reversed. And again, the clue is if I tell you 1, 4, 7, you know it's a reversed. Then I told you he told you there's 7 modes. We only play 4, so now we just simplified it by
almost 50%.
Yeah. We said there's 2 majors, 2 minors. So if Mixolydian, or I'm going to tell you, Mixolydian is a major, Ionian is a major. And then we have 2 minors. And to simplify this, on the 1st fret where Aeolian starts, Aeolian is the minor 2 Mixolydian. And Dorian, which starts on the 4th, is the minor 2 Ionian. So that the relationships are actually the same, and it has to do with the placement of the semitones. Your semitones will shift in the scale. And again, you're not going to get this tonight. That's okay. All I want you to do, and if you play DAA, normal, we're not asking anybody to change anything. If that's your normal scale, he's gonna show you the way to change 1 string to put you in the next mode.
The difference between the primary and the secondary and why you want it.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks.
The primary feather it'll be stiffer because it's their wing feather. They use it in flight. And where the turkeys are concerned, they strut around. They have to be a stiffer feather because part of their mating rituals, they drag the feather tips in the ground and stuff. But usually the tail feathers and the secondary wing feathers will have 2 sides, almost even. Where the primary feather, you probably see it better on that side, it looks like there's only half the feather there. The primary feathers do. And the primary feathers are straight, more straight from end to end, if you want to get that on video, where the secondary feathers have a turn in those, and it makes it a lot harder to strum with when they have that turn like that. So, is that what you needed to know?
Yeah, thanks.
How loud you want it to be, but sometimes you might want the strum, not so much that you want it louder or quieter, but it's a smoother strum, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The finer you can leave the tip. You know, if you can leave it real tiny like this and still strum with it, you'll find that it won't hook under your strings as bad. Sometimes when you're strumming, if your quill gets, you have to learn as you're strumming. I'm going to exaggerate this, but you kind of have to rotate your hand. Let me find one that's got a lot more crook in it. The Galex players sort of leave this straight up and down, and they strum up here, but I strum like this. So when you, if I left that same angle, as you notice when I'm strumming out, I have it at a little bit of an angle. If I left that same angle when I come on in strum, I'm going to be going under my strings, and you're going to have a lot of hang-ups. And with like this little guy that I just stripped off,
That's where Ken's hand exercise would come in handy.
so yeah. So when you're going to have smoother strumming, the finer you can leave it. But some people just leaves it fine because they don't want to smile at the tip, but just because they don't want as much volume. They want a different setting, maybe just play quieter or whatever. So the finer you leave it, but I usually like to cut mine and leave about 1/8 of an inch on it. And one thing we ain't got is a piece of sandpaper, but you know what to do. It's going to leave it'll leave a rough edge. So if you got that rough edge, just take a piece of sandpaper and kind of round it a little bit, and that'll keep it from hanging up. So here's the same feather now. But that'll keep it. But when you strum out, I kind of do this. Then when I come back in, I do this. I mean, I'm exaggerating it really highly to get the idea over it. But on my out strums, I do that, and on my in strums, I do that. The primaries are a little bit more aggravating sometimes to get started because you just don't have as much to hold to. But
It's a really satisfying feeling when you get that stripping down.
yeah, when you get one to go from top to bottom, you just want to start stripping feathers all day. See if you can do that again.
Do hobby or craft stores have feathers?
Hobby Lobby used to have them.
Yeah.
But to get specifically primary feathers, I've just bought them off of eBay.
Yeah.
Because these
Again, when you're first learning, this is what I was taught. And yes, I choke up on them too. And everybody's gonna be a little bit different on what they want flex in it. But when you're first starting, you got to learn to strike out on the strings. And if you're doing an in strum, you're out on the top. What I'm doing is this. If you can get past that, then start adding to it. But just start somewhere. What I don't want anybody to ever do is get flustered on something. It's like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Start with something easy, and
It's going to be for a while. A lot of people was using.
Maybe one of the other ones, Bobby. Actually, I think we talked about that a little bit last night. One of the ladies asked the difference between a contemporary and a modern, or I'm sorry, a traditional and a contemporary or a modern. All right. Let's start with this. When we're done with this discussion, you're not going to go to the shop and build a Dulcimer. What I want to do is discuss what I know two makers, the method they used, and then know that it was all regional. How they did it in North Carolina is not how they did it in Tennessee, is not how they did it in Kentucky. And then if we look at Thomas's pieces versus one of the other guys, McKinley Craft or one of the Birdies, they all had particular things that they did differently. So what I'm saying is, not unlike intonation on traditional or contemporary piece, the makers are all different and the method. And I come up with this old man named James Edward Thomas. And as soon as I seen the piece, I said, that's it. And I don't know what it is about it or why, I was just drawn to it. And then I found out there's some brothers, see, that would have been east of him, and north, that were making pieces, the Pritchards, and using almost the exact same method. The Dulcimer themselves are quite different, but the methods were the same. So. This, I'm trying to use number 8, and I don't even know if you can see that. This is 20. This is 20,000.
We can see it here.
I'm gonna come back maybe 3 or 4 inches. I mean, it's not exact. I don't measure, and I've tried to do this stuff, and they'll say, "Well, is it 3 or 4?" I'm like, "Well, it don't matter." Some people have to have Ken's technical writings, and they get a measuring tape and then they mark it. It's not like that. What I have to do is have enough left over that I can snap it off. First, all that it was some kind of hook, and it's about 1/4 inch. And the reason I'm using this is I have to have a bigger hoe on the end in order to go over a 1/4 inch tailpiece. Or if they're using pins, you use a little hook. It's, I don't know, 1/8 inch or a little more. So first it depends on what size. Let's see. I was making yours though, right? You got pins? Pins. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong one. So I'm gonna use pins. I'm gonna wrap it around that, and it has to do with how you turn it, whether you turn it away from you, turn it towards you, whether it goes over or under. And this is the important part. As pair of channel locks I use, the very tips of your tools are called bit. That's your bit. And on some of these tools, they have either grooves or teeth in them. You have to have smooth bits, because when I clamp on this, I'll put a nick in the wire, and that's not good. It will fail. All right. Once I got that chucked up in there, now this one here, I won't clamp it all the way down. I just pull it down tight. And then on this here, my hook, I'm going to pull away, and I'm going to twist at the same time. What I'm doing, I don't want one string to wrap around the other. I want the two, is it called helix? Because I think
two around the common center rather than one around the other.
All right, so I'm pulling and twisting at the same time. And then, so then everybody's got a preference, you know. And he'll say, "Well, use 3 or 4. Which one is it?" Whatever it comes out to. And then I have weights in my shop that I'll lay this down on the whatever, and I'll set that weight on there, and it gives me tension. So, John, you want to give me a hand just a second? Just put a good thumb on that. What he's going to do is he's going to get it back right there. Come on. All right, what I'm doing is give me 1 second. I pulled that up 90 degrees to the string. That's my tailpiece. We're gonna do what's called a finish wrap on this. We've got our helix, about 3 or 4, and now we've got the excess we're gonna put a finish on. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna pinch it underneath my thumbnail, and I'm gonna twist it again, about 3.72 times. All right, now I've got it. It's still 90 degrees to it, All right, let me have it again. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push it up, I'm gonna push it back, like that. Because when he holds that for that last time, now I'm gonna twist this wire and then just, yeah.
Oh, come
See,
right
this
off, no
wire,
clip-a-doo.
this wire has
Oh.
tensile strength. It has no, they call it shear. That's why if you nick one of these strings, it's gonna fail.
Yep.
But if you're just pulling on them, they're incredible. Okay, so now what I've done is got about 3 or 4 helix, and then I got 3 or 4 straight twists on it, and that's a finished string. I mean, it's crooked, but when it draws up on it, it'll straighten out. So I'm gonna do this.
Now you use,
The most common is my understanding when you moved into a town, the first or second occupation that set up was the broom maker. Generally, the first was your blacksmith, but not always. And you always had a broom maker, so everybody traded for their brooms. And when you finished with a broom, you literally wore that thing out. You took the wire off of it because you didn't throw it away, and you recycled or upcycled your broom handle. So broom wire, which was, I believe, 50 thousandths, and it was galvanized. Even 100 years ago, they was galvanizing and trying to protect it. And that's where I learned from John Henry. He took a piece of broom wire. First thing you do is take steel wool or sandpaper and shine up the galvanize on it. And what we're gonna do, put our glasses on. I have a pair of just needle nose pliers, but on the back side, I've scribed lines in it. And what I've done is I've measured across at 3/8 and 1/4 inch, and that lets me know when I'm bending wire how long the leg is. I'm gonna bend the leg. Then next, we don't have.
this is broom wire.
No. This is. I'm sorry.
Music
This is
wire.
music wire. But I was
Yeah, you didn't
using
say that.
I was using the broom wire as the example. But this process is still the same. The reason we use music wire is it's got a coating on it, and the tensile strength on this is phenomenal. And I have instruments that are, well, not real old, but several years old that I play a lot, and there's no wear on these at all. And I've seen contemporary dulcimers, lady in Louisville, she literally wears her dulcimers out. I've never seen her like Missy. She's a school teacher.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna let Deborah draw, and I'm not gonna give a name out until she finds somebody that got, until she
I'm not looking.
gives me one that got it right. That ain't right.
I'm afraid we may have to do this again.
That missed it by 1.
Oh.
I'll put that in up there, so.
Are you gonna go closest?
No, not till we.
You know, I didn't see anything about the maker of the dulcimer not being allowed to put the name in.
That one missed it by 1, but a different one.
Oh.
That one must have copied off the last one.
Yes, that's what I'm afraid.
That missed it by 1.
This is the
Oh my God. Signature.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, that one was so close on 1. That missed it by 1.
Wow. Good
That was the first one that got.
Something you can't tell us.
That everybody's copying off each other.
What are you trying to say, Bob?
Shake
That one copied off of that one.
So let's give it to the one who gets all wrong.
They needed the
Nine
means nine.
With the copy of Bruce Hogan.
Oh, we got it.
Somebody got to get one?
Somebody got it.
All right.
Who is Ann Brown?
Oh
Do you want to tell them which ones were the wrong ones, Ann?
I don't remember.
Sycamore, mesquite, and teak were the wrong answers.
Sycamore. I thought sycamore trees grew there. No.
No, I had two S words on there, sassafras, and so I and sycamore. But sycamore was the wrong answer, and mesquite and teak, everybody figured that out. That those pretty much those what Appalachian wood.
Here she comes. Oh, that's good.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right.
It's already.
Anytime you're ready, just go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Well, what do you want this time? Same thing.
Okay.
That's the wildwood fire.